Okay, good morning. Let's start the personnel meeting. First item is to call the meeting to order. Motion to accept the minutes from November 10th and November 24th. So moved by Dave, second by Jay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Melissa, we had a staffing request. Where do we stand with that?
The staffing request was from DPW for Highway Worker 2. They had an employee that was going to resign. That employee has decided not to resign, so we do not need to ask for permission to backfill it.
Okay, so we can just disregard that.
Yes.
NYMER training.
Yes, I just wanted to update you on the de-escalation training that we've been working on offering the employees. As of right now, the training has been offered. We have 244 employees that are signed up for the de-escalation training. So far, we have 50 in the process of actually completing the training. It's split up in 2 one-hour sessions. I myself have gotten through one of the 2 trainings, and I find it really well done. It gets your attention, and I think the information in it is quite worthwhile. So I'm kind of excited that our employees are actually getting this training, and I'm hoping that we can offer more of this NYMER training in the future. I think there's a lot of benefits to it.
Okay, great. Any questions on that? Okay, not seeing anything. 2021 staffing pattern. Since the budget's been approved, the staffing pattern matches the budget. Where do we need to go from here, Melissa?
So the staffing pattern is in the process of being updated. In the staffing pattern, there are 2 staffing requests that were brought forward for that were part of the 2021 budget. Those requests were both from the Department of Public Works. One was an account clerk being upgraded to a senior account clerk, and the other was a Highway Worker 2 being upgraded to a bridge repair person. So you will see those 2 positions in the staffing pattern. Other than that, all of the changes are per resolution and board approval. So the staffing pattern will be presented to the board at the next board meeting on the 18th for approval and adoption. Okay.
Is there a chance we could get that out to people before then so they can just look through it?
Yes. Yep. I think we'll be able to do that.
Okay. If you can forward that to Debbie and she can get an email to everybody.
Absolutely.
All right. Great. Next is our County Administrator and Probation Director update. Give you a rough idea. So we have 2 positions open, 1 department head and 1 county administrator. We are accepting applications and resumes currently through next week. We advertise for 30 days, which ends next week, at which point we need to start doing some work on filling these 2 positions. Our current probation director will be leaving at the end of the year, so we'll need to appoint somebody at our organizational meeting on January 2nd, Deb?
4th, I believe.
January 4th, okay, January 4th. So we sort of need to ramp up the speed on our probation director search. So at this point, we'll be going through who we have so far, who's applied next week. We would like to get the ball rolling so we can meet all the deadlines here from a time frame standpoint. We would like to schedule a personnel Zoom meeting for first interviews on Monday, December 21st. And then we will schedule a second round of interviews on Monday, December 28th. Of course, by Zoom. Debbie will notice the meetings and get it out to everybody. We will open the meetings unless there's any business. We'll go right into the executive session. We'll get the candidates to come on to the Zoom. We'll go through the questions, and then we'll have a chance to discuss them. Anybody have any issues with that time frame? It's normally we're a little more casual and we can kind of do things at our own pace, but because we have to have somebody in place the next business day after we lose our probation director to retirement, we sort of need to kind of ramp up the pace on this one. Anybody have any issues with that? Oh, the Zoom meeting or the new probation director? Zoom meeting. Is 10 o'clock okay for everybody?
That's what you had said originally.
I'm okay with that unless somebody's got an issue and they want to change it to a different time. But it'll probably be 10 o'clock.
7:30.
AM or PM? So that, unless I hear from anybody what we'll plan to do, just we need to kind of ramp up the pace to get this done so we meet all our requirements. Second is on the county administrator. It's a little more involved. We, again, are advertising through the beginning of next week. We have received, according to Debbie, quite a significant number of applications. So we will start a triage situation. I will get a committee together to go through the first groupings of applicants, and I'll get somebody for personnel to sit down with us to go through it to verify which groups meet the minimum qualifications and which ones don't meet the minimum qualifications. At that point, I'll get a second committee together, a little bigger, to go through the ones that do meet the qualifications and create some tiers of applicants so that we can, after the first of the year, start the same process where we'll get a set of first interviews, second interviews, and at least get the process rolling. So we're kind of trying to squeeze the probation director in before the end of the year, or right after the first of the year. We will get the county administrator position sort of underway. I'm not real comfortable or confident that Zoom meetings, when it comes to trying to hire somebody through an interview process, is going to be the most effective and efficient way to do it. But at this point, I'm not sure what other options we have. At least the first round of interviews will be through Zoom. We will then have to decide, depending on the status of the lay of the land or where the world is at that point, if we're ever going to be able to have any sort of in-person type interviews. That's my thought process at that point. That I've run past the chairman and run past the vice chairman, and they're okay with that. Anybody else have any input on either process and any ways to amend it? Okay, not hearing any input, we will go with that for now. And of course, as we go along, it won't be a straight path. There'll be a few curves here and there, and we'll fill everybody in and get some input and feedback from everybody to make sure they're comfortable with it. But we sort of need to get the process rolling. Melissa, that's sort of all I had on the updates. Do we have anything else from a personnel standpoint we need to deal with?
The only thing else that I'll mention, we're still in the process of the Kronos upgrade. I just, the county departments have been great. It's been a long process. Right now, we're in the hardest part, which is running the parallels. So both systems are running at the same time, which is extra work for each department because all the entries they put into the current system, they also have to put into the new system. So it's double the work. But I just wanted to thank everybody for their patience. We're getting through it. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll be good to go.
Okay. Anybody else have anything to input to the meeting? If not, our next meeting will be on the 21st, which will be, I'm sorry, Don, go ahead.
How many applicants do we have for probation director?
I'm not sure, Melissa, that's sort of in your realm at the moment.
Yes, we currently have 2 applicants. One applicant is not qualified for the position. It just came in via email, and then the other applicant is qualified. So we have 1 qualified applicant.
Okay, so we'll be at least talking to that applicant the 21st, possibly another one, to get the ball rolling to go through the process.
And
Anybody
just to
else have
clarify,
anything?
you'd like me to contact that person and let them know of the date of the interview? Okay, and that they'll be receiving a Zoom invite?
Correct.
Okay.
Other than that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Dave, seconded by Don. All in favor? Opposed? Carried? Jim, it's all yours. You want to come up here?
Sandy, you mind if I stay here? You're fine.
Okay.
I'll keep Barry on.
Barry is on.
Yes.
Well,
Change the Zoom
he's logged in. Let us see.
I'm here. Sorry, is it not showing up under my name? Oh, it's not.
Okay. All right, so I can start right now. All right, I'd like to call the December IT meeting, December 8th IT meeting to order. First order of business is accepting of the minutes from the last meeting, from the November meeting. Motion to accept those minutes. Thanks, Don. Second? All right, second, Kathy, thank you. Any questions in regards to those minutes? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, carries. Next, cybersecurity. Roger, Karen sent around a nice little cyber awareness number yesterday. Any updates you want to give for cybersecurity, please?
Yeah, the efforts seem to be going fairly well. We had another one of those nasty spikes we talked about a month or two ago in November, which is, I characterized it too, a lot of action in front of your camera, but that doesn't mean somebody's trying to break into your house. And so we had another one of those spikes in November, but everything else seems to be routine. And our statistic of interest this month is the fact that we actually managed through our employee awareness to identify 2 of our vendors who had compromised mailboxes and let them know. So the training seems to be working. People seem to be becoming more and more aware of that. And we actually discovered things that the actual vendors didn't know about, and we're able to notify them and help them out. So I think that's a great reflection on our training efforts and on our program so far. And then the only other thing I had to talk about today is, again, something that we should be fairly proud of. State Scoop magazine has named Karen Pratt one of the local cybersecurity leaders of the year, which was an award that she was nominated for. And then they had articles on each one of those people in their magazine, little short pilot articles, and they'll be having a video chat, podcast chat with her as part of their magazine too. And the criteria for that was nominees had to be a current city, county, or municipal government official whose innovative championing of technology has directly transformed operations and bolstered agencies' efficiency and effectiveness in serving citizens. So I'd like to think that she's done more than that for us, but again, it's a continued recognition of the fact that we are out in front in this area, and I think it's serving us quite well so far in how we're doing. So that's all I have.
Thank you very, very much, Roger. As you can see, I'm getting a reaction, an applause to Karen. So thank you very much, Karen. On to IT, Terry, first project update. Hi, you're on mute, Terry.
I guess it would help if I unmuted myself. So I have a few things today. I'll start with the project updates. They're not a lot different than they were last month. We've had a lot of call, as you might imagine, for more loaner type laptops and remote connectivity. So we've really been focused a lot on that this past month, but we did finish or complete the server upgrade for the accounting software. So that is completed. I'm going to share my screen right now so you all can see. There we go. So you should see the screen. Can everybody see it now? Okay, great. So that's the project list. As Melissa mentioned, we are almost complete with the Kronos upgrade. We're all going to be very happy to have that complete. And we're moving forward with the other projects. Does anybody have any questions on that?
The mold, the NPM, that's 25%. We were trying to within this month, but is it gonna? What do we expect for a further?
Well, I put that back on hold again for right now, and so we're looking to continue to move that forward, specifically working with DSS. But we're realistically looking at after the first of the year to pick that one back up again.
Any other questions from anybody in regards to projects? the projects you want to move up to the purchasing contract.
Yep. I have a couple of different things. One of them is I would like to request the approval to purchase off a new contract. So we've had some challenges in technology trying to purchase equipment when we're looking only at the state contract pricing. So there is other contracts that are available. In speaking with Sue and looking at the purchasing process, there's a contract, it's called the Pepum Contract, P-E-P-P-M. It is, would qualify to meet our purchasing requirements, that in the fact that it is awarded only to lowest bidder, but it's specifically a technology contract that would allow us some more options to be able to purchase more effectively with things that have already been technology solutions that have already been vetted out. So my understanding of the process, and anybody can correct me if I'm off base on any of this, but my understanding is that it has to be approved through the committee and then through the board to be able to allow us to purchase off the contract.
Al, do you have any input on this?
No, I haven't had a chance to review it, but I assume that Sue's on top of it. She's pretty intimately familiar with the procurement policy. So if she spoke to Sue, she's probably in good hands.
Roger, we need a motion to, is there any other question or dialogue? Go ahead, Cassie.
I was moving it.
Oh, okay. So motion to move to finance by Cassie. Second, Don, Paul, Sue. Any other dialogue? All right, all in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you very much.
You will need an actual resolution out of finance to do that, because it's not a bid we let ourselves. So we'll have to approve that program, and I'll get together with Sue to make sure it should be fine, but I'll get together with her to make sure it's okay.
Thanks, Roger.
Thanks, Roger.
So the second thing I wanted to talk about or to bring up for some conversation today is related to the budget. Going through and looking at our position for the end of the year, a grant from Board of Elections that I've spoken to Al about that's going to be coming through it. It's looking like at the end of the year, we will be requesting a transfer in the next couple of months from our 0.2 to our 0.4, but we're also going to have, looks like a bit of an overage. And so rather than trying to rush and maybe hurry and make some decisions that maybe won't be the best decisions to try to spend the money that's going to be left from the grant. And for the end of the year, I'd like to request, I don't think we have to do anything today other than maybe have some conversation, but to look at rolling some of those funds forward, but more specifically look at setting up an equipment reserve type account. So I might ask for a little help from Al or Brian to talk about this a little bit, because we've had some conversation. But that's something I wanted to bring up for conversation with IT and the IT needs. They typically, things come up that are unexpected, and sometimes those unexpected expenses can be large. And I know some people in other counties that I've spoken to have set up an equipment reserve, which has really been nice to be able to help to bring things forward, especially with some of the changes we've made with the capital project. So previously the IT was part of the capital projects. And as you folks probably recall, we've had some challenges with that, because although the projects themselves are large, you know, $50,000, $100,000, sometimes more than that. So they sound like they would qualify as a capital project. They really don't, because when you break that down, maybe it's $50,000 items or something of that nature. So it doesn't really fit there. But I do want to make sure that we don't lose sight of those projects, be able to move them forward, and also account monetarily to be able to fund those projects as they're needed. So I guess I wanted to start some conversation as it relates to an equipment reserve for what we'll have left towards the end of the year from the budget and from the grant.
Yeah, go ahead, Al. No.
So if I can just jump in, there's kind of two things going on that are the same but different. So with COVID this year, there was a significant amount of projects that were planned that for obvious reasons will not come to fruition. So, you know, we still need and want to get those projects done. And there's no automatic way to roll Terry's funds forward. So there's two options that I see that are viable. One is we just look at what she has unspent at the end of the year and allow her to reappropriate the fund balance to finish next year what she couldn't finish this year. The secondary thing would be what she just brought up, which is that equipment in reserve, where because I stuck my nose in the capital plan and kind of had her evicted from the capital project. The benefit of the capital project was her funds would automatically roll forward because capital projects roll forward. So when I got involved and had her kind of taken out of there because her equipment didn't really rise to a capital level, she lost the ability to automatically roll those funds. So you can have that same mechanism within the general fund where she can reserve those funds that can be reappropriated each year, kind of like you're familiar with the public health immunization and bioterrorism grants that like every February you see a reappropriation of those grant funds. This would work kind of a lot like that. So there's two options where you can either just agree to help her roll over money next year when she determines what her year-end balance is, or you can actually set up a reserve where she can take some of these unspent monies and start planning for future costs beyond next year. Excuse me, because Terry has been part of the capital planning and has helped Chris and Brian develop a plan for 1 year, 3 year, 5 years down the road. So that equipment reserve and general fund would help some of the long-term strategies as well. So those are the two things that I see as viable options that, hopefully one or both of them can get moved to finance for further consideration.
Any input from the committee? Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, it sounds like a great idea because there are capital needs there, but again, they don't belong in the major capital plan. And do we need a motion?
We need a motion to-
Move it to finance?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Matt makes motion. All right, second. Go ahead, Sue. Any other conversation? All in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Thanks, Al.
Thank
Anything
you.
else, Terry?
Thank you all. No, that's all I have today, unless anybody has any questions.
Yeah, I have a question, Terry. It's Terrell Wilson. How are you?
Good, how are you?
What would you prefer based on that discussion that Al just brought up? What's your preference, a reserve, or how would you feel as, being a department? How would you like to manage that?
I think the equipment reserve would be a really great idea and would really help a lot. What I really appreciated about the capital project was that IT projects, sometimes they take several months to complete. And when you have a hard stop at the end of the year, it causes some challenges for the purchasing department and other things within our department. And so an equipment reserve would be great, something that rolled over that would allow us to not have to focus on a calendar year for projects, but instead focus on the project itself to completion.
Excellent.
We've already got a mechanism in place, so. All right. Any other questions or comments from the committee? Any other new business that comes before the committee? Don't see any. That being said,